Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Metalholic Magazine and Metal Nation Radio. Joining us tonight, Erik Tyler and of course Mary Zimmer of Santa Marta. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Doing pretty good, man.
I'm glad we got a little bit of time to chat tonight. I'm excited about the new project, everything I've heard so far, and I want to talk about that in just a moment real quick before we get started talking about Santa Marta. I just wanted to take a moment to applaud you, Mary, for how candidly yet gracefully diplomatic you were in announcing your departure from your previous project. I wish more artists could handle things with such dignity and respect.
Well, thank you, Rustin. I really appreciate that. That was really, I just wanted to, because I wanted to tell people kind of how I was feeling, because I wanted to give people an insight into maybe decisions maybe they could make themselves that would be better, in the future. Maybe they could learn from it. But then I also didn't want to be, the flamethrower and the shit talker and all of that. And, I just wanted to leave, but tell people what was going on.
And you did so quite eloquently, so there's no need for us to talk about that tonight. Let's talk about Santa Marta. Tell us about the journey, how Santa Marta was born, what brought you two together musically.
Well, Santa Marta came out of, originally, Erik was writing a bunch of music, and it was in a proto format, and then he kind of came up with, the vision for the band. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'd already been working on the music for a while and planned on doing something with it, and, I knew Mary was kind of, in a interesting spot, so, I kind of put the idea out there if she'd want to, maybe do some vocals on a track or something, and things just kind of naturally snowballed into what they are now, and, things are just going great.
It turned out very good.
Yeah, I've heard just a couple of tracks so far. We'll talk about that in just a second. So now, you guys went from Wisconsin to Arizona? That's like worlds apart on so many levels. How did that happen?
Well, man, we went out to California, too.
Oh, that's true. Well, we went all over. But it's largely because of the weather. I mean, the weather, Erik's originally from Arizona, and Wisconsin's my musical home for sure. And we're going to come up there and tour, do the whole thing through the Midwest, like without a doubt, because those people, everybody back in the Midwest, are my good friends. But unfortunately, like the state of Wisconsin is just kind of like suffering, both economically and in the winter. It's just really hard to live there. And I've been living there for a long time. And we both just wanted to move on to a place that's just a little bit easier to live in and a little bit more economically, fruitful. It's unfortunate because Wisconsin's such a beautiful state, but it's freezing half the year. So there's a great metal scene. But so does Arizona. So good for us.
Yeah, you got great metal there in Arizona. I lived there for 7 years. I had to leave, though. I always tell people there are only 2 seasons there, summer and hell. And summer starts in November, so. All right, so let's get back to the music. Not to push Mary aside, but we all sort of know Ms. Z's path so far. Erik, tell us a bit about your background musically and what brought you to this point in your journey.
I've been playing guitar for probably, I want to say 13 years. And it's just kind of always been something I've done. And yeah, I've messed around with little projects. And, I started tattooing, and my tattooing career kind of, set music aside. And after it sort of, my tattooing career kind of settled a little bit and I was able to relax, I started doing music again and, invested in some recording stuff and was working on stuff. And then me and Mary met and, we just started working on music together. It was a common interest, and yeah, that's really where it came to.
Nice. And for you, though, so we get to understand your music background a little bit, what are maybe 2 or 3 albums that were sort of like guideposts for you that would sort of tell us where you come from musically?
Man, I don't even know where to start. Definitely Lamb of God. I mean, As the Palaces Burn was probably one of the biggest albums that made me want to play guitar and play metal. A lot of, Whitechapel, what they're doing right now, that's definitely motivating me a lot. They're doing some really cool stuff. And, trying to think of, Pantera, of course. You can't go wrong with Pantera. And their groove really, it's really there. It's really there. And I think I feel a little bit when I write some of the stuff I do. So.
You know, it's funny, whenever anybody ever says Pantera, nobody ever thinks early Pantera or later Pantera. It's just like the first half never existed.
Oh, right. The hair metal Pantera, you mean?
Right. All right, so let's talk about Santa Marta. The funny thing is, whenever you've got a brand new project like this, there's these generic questions that have to be asked so everybody knows the backstory. But is there a relevance?
Well, it's true, though. I love that you want to cover the backstory. It's great. I love it.
Knowing the backstory helps us understand where you're coming from musically and personally and everything. So is there some relevance to the Santa Marta name?
Well, actually, we were thinking like when we were working with the name, it was kind of like I think it was one of Erik's suggestions, and it was based on we kind of wanted to have a specific image, but without having to do like the costuming level of like my previous band. You know, White Empress took about 2.5 hours of prep time for me personally, just to get into costume and makeup for that. And we were just trying to see, like, could we do something that looks cool, but maybe a little more practical? And we were going for, like, a South American kind of cannibalist look, like, sort of like, how did you describe it, Erik? Like the cannibals meets the...
It's kind of like a cannibal kind of meets a rebellious, I don't know, some kind of rebellion army or something, and somehow they merged. I don't know.
Right, like, somehow they took elements of, like, as if like cannibals took elements of like Western culture or something. Yeah. They had an encounter one time.
Like, do we need to create a new subgenre for you guys, like voodoo metal or something?
That would be cool. I'm all in favor of a new subgenre. Do we not have enough yet in metal?
I know. It's like you got to label everything. Right?
One of the biggest things I wanted to go with about like the imagery is, you know, I wanted to do something that was sometimes less is more, and I didn't want it to be cheesy. You know, and that was the biggest thing, is just kind of keeping the cheese off of it. And I think with the body paint, just the tribal look to it, kind of keeps it right in the middle there.
Yeah, and I saw the initial photo shoot, which gives us a real intriguing glimpse of the band visually, which segues into the music, because you guys have posted a couple of working songs on YouTube so far to give us a taste, Violated and Drowning in the Fire. And they're both notably different from each other sonically. How do you guys sort of envision the Santa Marta sound?
You know, well, we're going to put out a couple more tracks within the next couple weeks here. And really the sound has a lot of, to me, you know, somebody commented on YouTube, and it kind of sounded like a combination of, you know, Arch Enemy meets Lacuna Coil, and that was interesting to me because, you know, I think what it does sound like is some of the more gothic, atmospheric elements kind of coming out of, you know, Europe and all of that, and then you also have like the down-tuned groove that also comes with the South American element and with other bands that have done sort of like a groovy down-tuned thing. Lacuna Coil's kind of there, not like a genty, you know, but just definitely like a down-tuned thing. And then there's also some elements of the European style riffing and, you know, like the definitely the classic metal, you know, element we put in there. And somehow it all seems to flow together. I mean, Erik's got a really good way of kind of like incorporating a bunch of different influences together, but without it being too overly jumbled or like overlapping. And then it's really enjoyable to come in and do the vocals then, because I'm able to pull from different areas as well. So really we're pulling from all of our metal influences that we've had over the years. I mean, because they're so varied. And when you think of metal, you know, as I was joking that we have so many different subgenres, you're free to incorporate a lot under the umbrella of metal, which is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, one of the things is, you know, I'm a listener first, you know, and if I don't want to listen to the song, you know, I know that other people don't want to listen to the song, and you know, I just try to write what I would like to hear, and sometimes it incorporates things that are slower, heavier, you know, whatever they are, and whatever it takes to get that message out. It is what it is, you know. So
absolutely. And you know, everybody always wants to compare and try and, well, what do they sound like? What is this? You know, I mean, I heard like little bits of many things, including some old Sepultura groove in there, but it's great that you guys, just in what you've offered so far, have this wide palette to start with.
Yeah, because we want to be unique. You know, we like pulling. We don't want to write like music that isn't enjoyable. I think sometimes when you get to a point now that metal's been around for a while, people want to try to pull.
They want to be the fastest, and they want to be the heaviest, and they want to be this.
Right, and they don't want to write necessarily like really just enjoyable music, not necessarily like pop music or anything, but maybe just something that like is played more for the sake of enjoying the listening and getting into the groove and doing what, you know, the classic albums of bands made you get to the concert for, rather than like watching an exercise and, you know, who can play in the most time signatures or who can, you know, play the fastest solo or whatever it might be, you know. And I think too, a lot of bands will try to mix genres and stuff and do it in really crazy ways just because they can, you know. And I think, it goes so far as a demonstration, you know, to show that it can be done, but sometimes it doesn't work because they're not thinking about writing a song, or, you know, you pull your influences when you write songs that, you know, you would want to listen to. I agree with Erik, you know, it's just when you hear a record, like if you don't want to listen to your own music, then, you know, it's not going to really, you have to make it something enjoyable. And so far I think this is the most enjoyable music I've done.
Well, that's the interesting thing about metal as a genre, as it's like everybody's like, okay, where do we go now? And they've, for years now, just been pushing more and more extreme and more technical. And it's like, this is the most brutal technical thing we've ever done. It's like, yeah, but where are the songs? You know? It's like, I'm glad you can beat the crap out of everything and you can play 9 million notes per second, but where's the songs that we're going to remember a year or even a week from now?
Yeah, exactly. I can't stand, you know, when guitar players, I call it just video game music, because it's just, the guitars, they're just ridiculous. And, you know, there's no melody. You can't follow the song. I'm not saying that, you know, music has to be a certain way, but I want to be able to go to a show and enjoy it. And I want to be able to listen to it in the car and sit in the back and drink a beer to it, you know, and just whatever. You know, I don't want to have to be in a specific mindset to listen to my music, you know, and I don't want anyone else to either.
So now, while you guys are putting this music together, obviously, hopefully looking for a label or direction there that might come in and say, hey, we love what you're doing, let's pick this up. But are you guys looking at putting together maybe an EP on your own to initially get that out there? And if so, how quickly do you see something like that happening?
I mean, what we're doing right now is all the tracks we're putting out are being released officially as singles through digital distribution. So, like the 2 songs we have out now, "Violated" and "Drowning in Fire," have commercial, you know, worldwide digital distribution, you know, and they're getting spins on some digital broadcasters and stuff, and you know, we're starting to actually just get some covers off of coverage off of what we've put out so far, and we're just going to keep releasing singles like that for now, because we have, you know, we have the capacity to mix and master and do all that ourselves, you know, for right now. You know, definitely we would want to level things up when we still have to fill out the lineup. Right. We're still looking for, you know, the drums are just programmed at this point. We are looking for at least a drummer and a bass player in the Phoenix Mesa area, because what we want to do is get on the road and tour and stuff. We'd like to go to South America. We'd like to go to other countries. We want to make that like a big focus about the band is live. So we just really want to hit the road with this as soon as we can start the lineup.
Absolutely. So a couple more before we get out of here. What does Santa Marta offer you guys artistically comparative to your previous projects? Is this like a fresh palette for you guys, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's pretty cool because I really like how Erik writes, and I really like the way that he's able to take, you know, make a really enjoyable song structure out of unique kind of ideas. It still sounds original, and it also, because it pulls from all these influences that I also have, you know, it's really cool for me to go in. I'm really able to come up with vocal lines much more quickly than anything else before. And also the tuning of the band in general for me is just really helpful. I mean, I'm a contralto. You can just hear it when I'm talking. And so I've gone down in tuning. Luna Mortis was largely in standard or in drop D. And then White Empress was in D standard. So, and now we are moving on to, I don't know what's your name, but Eric, but I know it's low. He can tell you more about that. Drop C. Yeah. So, which is much more comfortable for me, being an alto. So it actually fits, like, it really fits well. Everything just clicks. It's so much easier, to work together, I think.
Well, and you, in Luna Mortis, you weren't the driving creative force. In White Empress, you weren't necessarily the driving creative force. In this one, you have much more input to do things vocally and as a songwriter. That's got to open up. I mean, you're already sort of the Swiss Army knife of vocalists with all the things that you can do, but this sort of opened things up even more to do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does, because I am not constrained. I mean, we obviously work together, but we usually, in general, kind of like what each other do. Not that we wouldn't stop each other from doing something ridiculous, but we don't really have the tendency to do that kind of stuff, because it's just, the music just flows in a certain direction. And yeah, it's definitely different now to have a little bit more creative control over things. It really helps a lot, because as a vocalist, you have to have a little bit more, because you need to be in the right tuning and all these other things to make your instrument, shine the best where it can shine, relative to its own tuning,
All right, so before we get out of here, just for fun, Erik, you're an amazing tattoo artist from all I've heard and seen. And I see, just from stalking your Facebook page a little bit tonight, waiting for you guys to call, Mary has sort of surrendered her legs to the canvas, so to speak. That's got to be sort of a unifying experience to go through together.
Yeah, I think so. Erik would have, if we wouldn't have been together already for a while, he probably would have broke up with me after that. I mean, it hurt, man. It hurt so bad. I have like 2 really small tattoos, and but his best work, in my opinion, is when he does really nice custom pieces. And to not be a heavily tattooed person, I've always wanted more, but they're expensive. So when you're a broke musician, you don't really get to. But Erik offered, and he's really an amazing artist. You can't really turn that down. And I really looked at his work, and he really does big, large things well and pre-plan things. And since I don't have a lot of tattoos, you can pre-plan a whole area and make it like a whole, sculpted piece. So I love it, and it looks great, and I love the idea. But, oh, my God, I was such a pansy, right?
Yeah, it's just pretty bad.
Like cringing before the needle even got there, right?
Yeah, it was pretty bad, and I told her, you don't get any special treatment. You get treated just like everyone else, so. Yeah, made for an interesting night.
Nice.
But I did it. I survived, though, so hey, I win, But now the hard part is over, but I guess the legs hurt more than the bottom hurts more. So if you're going to do it, don't do your shin.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for taking some time. The digital music is out there for people to get a hold of already, I believe you said. Is that on iTunes, Amazon, your own site? Where should I tell people to go?
Yeah, they can get it everywhere. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube Music, Google Play. We wanted to really get it out to the digital distributors right away, just because, it's still high-quality audio, and we just wanted to start introducing people to the band and the music while we're trying to still fill out the lineup. We do have people auditioning, but we're still open to auditions. First come, first serve, right? So.
Fantastic. Well, I assume you will keep us up to date on the news and everything that's happening when you get new members, when new music's available, and we'll get it out there for you.
I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Erik, Mary, thank you so much. Love what I'm hearing so far. Can't wait to hear more, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Thank you, Rustin.
Yeah, thank you so much.